Hello, my name is Carmen Bellows, co-founder of The Great Lesser Known, a website that illuminates lesser-known artists in Middle Tennessee. Today I have the great pleasure of speaking with Melodie Grace, Raku potter. Hey Melodie.
Hi.
Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited.
My first question to you is, where are you from? Are you from Tennessee?
I'm not from Tennessee. I'm actually from Southern Indiana and moved to Nashville in 2006. So I've been here since then, and Nashville is definitely home for me.
Oh, I completely understand that. Nashville's a great place to live. How did you become interested in Raku pottery?
Yes.
It's an unusual term, and I didn't know anything about it until recently, learning from you. So tell the audience a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Raku pottery is actually Japanese pit-fired pottery. There's a very ancient tradition of Raku, and so I got interested in this because I had taken a class my freshman year of college, and we did a Raku firing, and I absolutely loved the process. And I knew that if I ever had the opportunity to do pottery on a larger scale or a more full-time basis, that Raku would be the type of pottery I would want to do.
Oh, that's fantastic. So this technique, tell us a little bit more about. I understand there's etching and there's all kinds. Tell us a little about that technique.
So I do a couple different kinds of Raku. So there's traditional Raku, which the pieces that I do, the twist I put on those, usually they have a carved element and then go through the Raku firing process. On all of the Raku pieces, I'll heat the pieces up in a small propane-powered kiln. I actually build my kiln every time I need to fire. So it's good because it's portable, but it does require me to build the little kiln before I start every firing process.
Oh my.
And I heat the pieces up with propane till it's around 1800 degrees. And when the pieces are red hot, I open the kiln, which that is not normally what you do with pottery. That obviously creates a lot of thermal shock.
Sure.
So I open the kiln and then I use tongs to move the pieces into a pit. In my case, the pit is makeshift. It's a metal trash can that is full of shredded newspaper.
Oh.
Well, the pot is so hot that when it touches the paper, it ignites the paper. And then the piece sits in that smoke-filled environment and it absorbs the smoke into the body of the piece for a really short window of time. So that is Raku, is heating the pieces up, moving them while they're hot into a pit that's got a combustible waiting for it. And then the environment of the pit directly affects the outcome of the piece and what the final piece looks like.
Oh my gosh.
My interest is really using smoke and seeing what I can do with that. So with the traditional Raku pieces, I use smoke on like carved elements of the piece. And then I also do a style that's called naked Raku. And those are the ones that use the etching that you mentioned.
Okay.
And those, I will put a resist layer on my piece.
Okay. And
then I etch my design through the resist. And then when I fire, the smoke traps in my etching. And when they cool, I pop the resist layer off of the finished piece. So the finished piece is naked, all except for a little smoke. And that's why they call it naked Raku.
That is so cool. That's such a cool technique.
Oh, it's so much fun. And I love that it's really allowed me to get a very specific design on my pieces, but also still embrace the surprise that is so inherent in Raku with the different crackles and the way the smoke may move across a piece.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you never know exactly what it's going to look like. And that's the fun part.
It is.
Tell us a little bit about your subject matter. I was looking up here. How did you choose the subject matter that you have?
So I'm definitely interested in a juxtaposition of, black and white, light and dark, experimenting with shadow, and obviously what I can do with smoke on these pieces. But I'm really inspired by nature and natural, I guess just quiet moments that you find in nature. I think quiet moments in general are a big inspiration for me. And so things like a bird taking flight or birds resting, in a family on a limb. Also, I've got some designs that are a little more graphic that I've started to experiment with. And, I've got patterns that are cherry blossoms. I've got some that are what in my mind are a little more hyper-focused and things like the pattern of a wood grain, but sort of my spin on what that is. Yeah. So definitely just quiet details, quiet moments are what really inspire me.
And each piece is so unique. It's really one of a kind. When someone has one of these, they know it's unique. Nobody else is. It's not a carbon copy of something else, quite literally. So
exactly.
That's very cool.
And another element to what I do with the pieces in trying to keep them all very unique and keep them one of a kind is I name every piece. So each piece will have my name in the bottom, but it'll also have an individual name for that piece. So in the bottom of each one, you'll have the piece will be named, and you know that there isn't another one out there with that same name.
That's fantastic. I love that idea. So tell me about your career. How's it going? How's it moving along?
Yeah, it's been so far it's been a great experience for me. I've been doing pottery full-time since 2011. And
nice.
At that point, I was working in a completely different industry. I was working in sales, and I knew that it was time for me to do something different. So I quit my job, I got a studio, and I started making pottery. I did my first show about 6 months later, and I've been traveling and doing shows ever since. I recently, within the past year, launched my online website with e-commerce, which was a lot of energy and time and really exciting to have that.
Sure.
So that the work is more available to people now.
Sure.
And I have won some awards for my work, which is...
I heard the Tally Johnson Memorial Award,
That's
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then 3 times?
Three times.
Wow.
Which is really exciting.
So tell me about that award. What does that award represent? What are they awarding you for?
So the Tally Johnson Memorial Award was given to me by the Tennessee Craft Organization here in Middle Tennessee at this annual spring fair. And that award is for the best thrown clay. And it was really an honor because Tally's focus was first on form in his pottery. And that is definitely where my focus begins, is the form and then the surface. So it was just an honor to win that award, and 3 times is fantastic. So
very nice.
That was exciting.
Going back to your career, you said you quit your job and started doing this. For artists out there in general, I'm sure you were nervous about doing that. And what would your advice be to someone who is thinking about taking that kind of leap of faith?
Yes. I would say back your leap of faith up with a plan.
Yes.
So I definitely had a plan. From a financial standpoint, I was debt-free. I had money saved. So I knew that even though this was a huge pivot for me in my career,
sure,
that I had time and resources to allow me to take that risk. So I had a year that I could try pottery and see how it worked before having to make another change. So if it didn't work at all, I knew I had a year. And luckily,
and you're all
it did start to work.
That's very good.
So, so that it's just rolled from there. It's been exciting this year. Actually, I'll see the launch of my first collaboration with a national brand, which is going to happen this summer. In August is when we're slated for that to be announced to the world and to be available.
Oh my gosh, you're not going to be lesser known very long. That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time again. It was wonderful to talk to you.
Oh,
and
you too.
Best of luck in the future. I don't think it's going to be luck. I think it's your talent that's going to get you there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.